Well, as John said, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce today's artist in residence, Denny Calais. Denny was born in France and has always been drawn to nature. He says that as a child, he explored caves and rock quarries in search of fossils and other discoveries. Always at home in nature, he has placed himself in the ebb and flow of the natural world for decades. When he emigrated to the United States, he was awestruck by the vastness of the country and became involved as a photographer. Eventually, his passion for photography spilled over into his love of nature, and he turned his lens on the mountain lions, bears, and other amazing creatures that live with or very close to us. Denny's work strives to increase respect and appreciation for our animal neighbors, to inspire others, and to communicate the fragility of nature and our responsibility as humans to be better stewards to one another and to the natural world we inhabit. Today's conversation with Denny is going to be really interactive. I'm going to chat with him about some of his favorite photos and the stories behind them. And he said he'd like all of you to toss out questions as we go along. Denny likes to say that he's more comfortable behind the lens than in front of it, but after having had the opportunity to chat with him in preparation for this program, I think you'll find, as I have, that he is a wealth of fascinating information and a deeply insightful and gifted artist. So please welcome Denny Calais.
Hi everyone, my name is Dennis and I'm a wildlife photographer. So what does it mean? Well, I like to take pictures of animals, but for a long time I was taking pictures of animals with a big lens and taking spot, staging everything. And I realized this is not what I wanted to have. I wanted to capture the intimacy of wildlife. So the only way to do that is to put at the level, that means ground level, like if you were walking in the wood. So I started designing setup, to photograph, and I was not happy with it. I just doesn't give me what I want. So I designed system more complicated to really, really capture the spirit of those animals. Like if you see on those two raccoons, and you probably wonder, how did I do it? Well, it takes a lot of trial and error. Try to buy equipment, try to figure out ways to get animal to come toward the camera. So you have to study the land, you have to study the trail, you have to look at track, you have to look at the way animals behave in the natural environment. So if on this picture of the raccoon, first of all, to have two raccoons coming up at the camera together, it's a plus. It does bring more power to the picture. And raccoon is probably not my favorite animal, but they do make good pictures. I mean, it's sharp, the light is good, and so it's just, and I like the way the animal look. This ground level, if you put yourself on the floor, on the ground, walking on the ground with your knees down, and you're walking, you see the world differently. I don't know if you ever try to do that, but I do it frequently to test my camera, is to crawl on the ground, lay down on the ground, and look at the world. That's the world they see. They may not see it in color, but they see it in their own view. So raccoons are very cool. They're very frisky with the camera, that's for sure. They like to investigate. So you might get things destroyed, as well as bear like to destroy things. Many times I got camera destroyed by bears. Is the way it is. So
Denny, can you tell us where this photo was taken?
So this picture is taken at the Rosemont Preserve. It's at the end of the reserve before the sign said do not enter. And it's the bottom of the creek, and it's the way the animal travel up canyon and down canyon. I figured out that path in 2015, and that was the greatest place for a camera. And the first picture we got in 2015 for that camera was a mountain lion butt. You get some, you get the front, you get the butt more often. Can't control that. And the thing about it is, you can control to an extent your camera system, but the only thing you cannot control is your subject. the wild animal. So they're going to give you all aspects of their life, position. You're going to get, they're not going to be in the center of the picture like you can see on this picture. They're not in the center. You wish they would be, but they're not. You cannot control that. That's it's not like in a movie, you control the actor. You can't control the actors.
And I think maybe your next photo is a really good example of that.
Yeah, so this picture is from my side, I think it's amazing because it shows few things. It's a daylight picture. It's a sunset. So systems are not designed. They cannot work both ways. They cannot work through daytime and nighttime and give you the same result. Sharpness, focus. Those camera traps are designed to work at night with flashes. But what is good about that is you can see the detail on a bobcat, and on the leg you can see the marking, you can see the whisker, you can see the hair. I mean, and it gives you that look, that intense look, looking back at the camera, pretty much to say, "Why did you take my picture?" But you know, it just and it's very intense. It's where you work in that aspect during the daytime because the light is not as so intense. That noontime, you know, the light is right above you, so make things very, very, very flashy. But I think this is a great, it's a good way to look at a bobcat. And again, I'm going to be stressing all along the slide is ground level, the way the animal are situated. They're looking at the ground level. I want to look at the same way they look. I want to be ground level. I never set camera up in a tree to look down. It's always ground level. It's a better way to see wildlife.
How long does it take to figure out placement on something like this? There must be a lot of trial and error.
Yes, it's easy to set up a simple trail cam, but a DSLR system with like a Canon, a Nikon with extra flash outside is basically you assume this is the way the animal is going to come. So you have to find the trail, you have to find the pathway they use. So you do that by having small trail cam or easily moved different place. And after that, you set up. When you find what you need, you think it's going to be a good placement, you set up a photographic studio pretty much outside. And it could take months, but when you set up one, you learn from it, you set up twice, you learn from it, it's getting easier every time because you acquire that knowledge of setting up your trap. You don't make the same mistake you made 5 years ago, you make right now.
Right.
You know what to do. You know, you have you follow a certain map of how to do it. It's getting easier and easier every time. But trail cam, simple trail cam help you to define the traffic of the animal. Any animal, you would define the traffic. So it's a lot easier. It comes with experience.
Yeah.
I don't say I'm a pro, but you learn. They make you learn. The animal make you learn how to set up your trap.
Let's go to our next photo. I think this one is just so remarkable.
It's out of the mind.
Yeah.
I was so happy when I saw that picture. That animal, that mountain lion, I don't know if it's a female or a male. I have no idea. I don't see some part I need to see to determine that. But it's an adult mountain lion, and it came up just perfect. It just came out perfect. So most of my picture, I think you are going to recognize, there is a rock. There is a stone on the ground. The reason I have that rock all the time there is to acquire focus. So you acquire focus. Why do I acquire focus before the picture is taken? Those pictures are at night. If there is no light, you cannot acquire focus during the night. So I pre-focus the lens to the rock, assuming the subject will show up at that place, and I will get some sharpness into the picture. But
Well, speaking of that, Denny, we've got a question from John. He asks, is the wildlife frightened by the camera flash? Does it cause them, to be afraid or avoid that
no,
spot in the future?
I don't think so, because those animals are in urban area, so they see lights all the time. They see lights all the time. There is the neighborhood of the light of the house all the time. There is the car flash, the car light. And it's very quick. Some at just 1/4 of a second.
Mm.
And the most wary animal I know about flash is the coyotes. But coyotes are wary about a lot of things.
Well,
They get very freaky about things and change in the environment. So, but mountain lion, they're very curious. They're very curious. They not bother. If they bother, they move out of the way. So, but I see mountain lion. I got many instances. Mountain lion are avoiding the camera because they know the camera flash. So they will avoid it. They will go around. They will go down the side. They will try not to trigger. But I see coyotes triggering the camera on purpose just to play with the flash.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. And I have it on video. And it's like you see, and they have the attention to trigger the camera just because they emit that light. It's kind of fascinating what they do, that they find some amusement into it. So
Yeah. Which animals are the most difficult to capture on film?
I think mountain lion.
Really?
Mountain lion, because the territory is so vast, we don't see it that often. So you're never ready when you need to be ready.
Right.
You could be out of battery. You could have a flash malfunction. You could have a trigger malfunction. You could have a dirty lens. It rain and you got spot. Nothing you can do about it. That's why you have to service those setup pretty often. This way you don't miss. But this is Rosemount. This cat was caught at Rosemount. I can't remember the year, but I got about 30 shots of that lion at that position. So I don't think that lion was afraid. That lion was curious.
Yeah.
It was curious because why would you be afraid? You're a mountain lion. You're a lion. You have quite a bit of defense if you. But I have experienced a lion playing house cat. We play with a little ball of fur. We play with a ball of thread, and they will play with their paw. I see a lion do this with one of my camera and cut the wire, and it went black.
Wow.
It went black. He shut down the camera totally. That was P41 in the Verdigo mountain. But I think this one is an awesome picture, and there is a way to determine if it's a lion I previously see by counting the whiskers. The whiskers are unique to each lion. So if you count it, you can determine if it's the same lion. Difficult, but if you have many pictures of the same lion for that trigger, you can have different side, you can see it differently, and you probably be able to count it. But usually I look for scratch on the ear, for spot on the fur, and it's not like a bobcat. You can see the rosette of the bobcat. Here it's pretty much straight color. Unless they were kitten, you would have spot, but I have a few instances I got kitten, and it's very rare to see them on film.
Yeah. So here are some of our curious friends. You were telling me a little bit earlier about how much coyotes notice any changes in the environment.
If you change, okay, at Rosemont, I got that camera set up for 5 years. And only 3-4 months ago, I decided to move it back about 5 or 6 feet. They noticed right away. No coyote will be coming. You will see them, and they will not approaching the camera. They will not. They're very, very, very wary. It's intense. They see the world differently. I mean, having two coyote on a picture, it's pretty good accomplishment, because usually they they separate from each other when they hunt. One looking this way, the other one looking the other way. You know, they hunt as a pack, but having two on picture and having the eyes convey that, you know, weariness, and say, what is that? You know, I they always say, you know, if you look into the eyes of an animal, you can read their soul.
Mm.
It's almost like you can see what they're thinking. You can just look at the thinking. It's just, I think it's a beautiful picture. It might not have all the aspect of like a great picture you can see on National Geographic, but sometimes that's not what you want. You want to portray a story, not to have the most sophisticated picture with all the detail, the sharpness, the light. This is what you see.
So as you find photographs that have, you know, really spoken to you, is it usually because they tell the clearest story? Is that usually what you look for as an artist?
Yeah, it just uh, it has to feel emotion.
Mm-hmm.
If you see a picture like the lion, it's like, wow. If it does provide emotion to me, I believe will provide emotion to other people who look at it, who don't know me.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to convey a story. Here you got two coyote, one sniffing the ground, the other one's looking straight up to the camera lens. It just, and it's a moment in time. It's just like a quarter of a second in time.
Yeah.
That's where they were. So it's very unique. And the aspect, you know, if you were with your camera and the lens in the wood, you click, you shot, you keep adjusting, Here, you just have one shot at it. If you set up your camera properly, you got one shot
Yeah.
at it. If you mess up from the beginning, you got nothing. And that happened. You know, we all forgetful.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Nancy has a question. She says, and you've spoken to this a little bit, I think, but how long does it take you to scout a new location in terms of figuring out animal trails and pathways and focus length and all of
Lots of hiking.
that?
Lots of hiking. What usually I do, I would go to a new location. I would sit down on a rock, pull my backpack, and just look and feel the way everything's flow into my mind. If I see, you know, it's very hard to explain, but I have to feel. If I was an animal, if I was a bear, if I was a coyote or a lion, where do you think I would go? What
Mm-hmm.
would I do? What would I try to avoid? Would I take the easy path or the harder path? If you go to Yellowstone in the winter and during the summer, buffalo, bison, they use the road because it's the way out. It's
Right.
the way to travel. Why travel in the mud? Why travel in the grass when you can avoid that? So I
Right.
look at what a creek bed, and I say, what would I go there and travel through this? So this it's a judgment you have to make, but having the little trail cam also can help you a lot.
Yeah.
And also, if you see a flat surface and it's bordered with canyons and drainage and clear bed creek, you say, yes, I will put a camera on that little meadows. If you see a split between two canyons, good place to put a camera. Do you have a split? They could come from the right, they could come from the left. It's a good tracking thing. You
Mm.
can track it there. You can monitor that traffic between two canyon branch. That's a good point. It's what I call a Y.
Mm-hmm.
You will put at the intersection of the line, you will put your camera there. That would be the best place to do. This one is just the look. It's just like, no, I'm not going to steal your squirrel.
It's a
I'm not
very
going to
intense
steal
look.
it.
Yeah.
I swear. This does not happen often, to have the prey and the predator together.
Mm.
and it's sharp enough you could see the eye close of the squirrel. You can see some of the fur, the tail, and that cat was just, it was so intense.
Mm-hmm.
It's really intense. And you can see the whisker, the sky behind. I mean, and this was what, 4 or 5 shots, no more than that. So you got to pick the bear. And again, it's during the daytime, so the sharpness is not as good, but it's not the quality of the picture, is the message that picture convey,
Right.
is the, the story, is the story, not the, sometimes I don't go, it's too many variable in camera trapping to get the best picture. I think it's more sometimes oriented toward the message, what the picture conveying to you or can convey to people to look at it and say, yeah, that's an interesting picture. I
Yeah.
mean, if you look at this picture, there is a lot of problem. Photographic wise, there is a lot of problem. But that doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me. What bothered me, if the picture was not as sharp, you can see the eye, or the bucket, his eye was closed. No, it just, the storytelling. I think the storytelling in camera traffic is very important, because that's the whole purpose of it,
Yeah.
is to tell a story, to be able to thread the story of the wildlife the way they see their world. And wish they show just a small glimpse of their lives. Very, very small. It's a very small window we can see. I mean, they do this all day long. And it's not easy. I bet it's not easy to be a bobcat. You know, we go to the market and get our food. They have to hunt it.
That's right.
They have to get it themselves. And there is a lot of failure. Like it's a lot of failure in camera trapping.
It's sort of this. Yeah, exactly. It's the same.
It's the same. It's the same.
So, do you have firsthand experiences with wildlife in the field? Do you often see them
Oh
in
yeah.
person?
Oh yeah. Like in September, free bear. And it's free bear, 3 different time. One was walking parallel to me, big black bear, and looked at me, and it kept going. I stopped. I put on my bear spray. I said, just in case. I was in a Verdigo a couple years ago. Bear sat on the trail for 20 minutes, and I'm like, it's my only way out. So I waited 20 minutes. I talked to the bear, you know, and just like, hey, dude, I need to go. He moved out, moved on the side, looked at me. I just walked the trail, and see you later. But I don't know why. I've been going to that location in the mountain for about 2 years now, and it's the first time I see free bear in the span of 2 weeks.
Wow.
I don't know why. And one grunt at me, and I say, that's okay. You can grunt, but just move away. I'm not going to harm you. First of all, I cannot harm him. Uh, and but another one, I was coming to it, and it's all in proximity, so that's why I make a lot of noise. I carry, and I think those days I did not do that, but I carry fishing bell. I put on my backpack on outside, so this way when I move you can hear ding 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 ding. I mean, like
Right.
that. I mean, it just makes sound this way. You don't want to run into wildlife
Right.
because you don't know their reaction. I know my reaction, I will back off. But you don't know if they will back off, and if they have a bear cub with them, it's complicated the situation. So, and that's why you don't. And I know at that area there is bear cub. I
Right.
know for a fact. So, you got to be prudent, not listening music when you walk. Just be very aware. Listen to the forest. The forest will tell you what's going on. The forest will tell you what's going on. And the forest speak to me these days, and it just, there's that, with time doing this, they have a lot more connection to it. More connection, and it does speak to me, and I love to hear it. I love to hear the sound. I love to hear the squirrel freaking out, the bird freaking out, hear the red-tailed hawk.
Mm,
It's fascinating.
yeah.
This is another one. It's like a I think this picture is more like what's going on. The mountain lion, it's not the same lion. You could see if you go back to the first lion.
Yeah.
Go back to the first lion. It is the same lion. I'm not sure if it's the same lion. Look at the right here, and look at this one right. There is a notch.
Yeah. And then let's go back. Oh, there we go.
There is a notch more. Maybe it's the same lion, but it's the same thing. It's like the look is intense, so intense look. And now you can count the whisker. You can count the whisker above the eye. 1, 2. I mean, it's just a beautiful picture. It's a beautiful animal who deserve a lot of credit and love, deserve a lot of understanding. You know, we need those. We need
Well, and I think,
lion.
you know, your storytelling aspect is what helps AFC make a case for preserving habitat.
Yes.
You know, it
Yes.
helps people really feel that emotional connection.
Yeah, we have. I mean, it's the greatest tool for conservation all around the world is to have camera trapping. This way, we can have the proof and the data that what's trafficking. That's the traffic between preserve, between corridors. If without that, we cannot say, you know, we need to conserve. We have the way. We have to find the. That's the tool for conservation.
That's right.
That's the
That's right.
tool. That's the unique tool, and it's and also having color picture on a high-end camera, it really helps to determine which individual we have. Difficult, but possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible.
I've got a question for you from Margaret. She says, once an animal triggers the flash and the photo is taken, how long does it take to reset so that the camera is ready for another photo?
So let me explain the way the camera trap work. So on those trap, like you see the lion, there is the camera, there is one flash above it, there is one flash on left and the right. The camera is set up at 1/250 of a second for the trigger speed of the camera, and I use an f11 to be very conservative. The trigger will shot 6 shots per second. The camera will shot as many frames the camera can handle before the buffer has to be clear on the card. The flash is set up at 1/4 of a second. So it's pretty fast. You get probably 6 shots, and after that, the flash need to recharge. But that you got your 6 shot.
Mm.
But there is a lot of component who create a lot of problem. The battery health for the camera, for the flash. Also, if the lens is dirty, if the animal is moving too fast. I mean, coyote, they go through the trigger and trigger only once because they're too fast. They're running. This lion was very inquisitive. He was very, very, very curious. So I got a lot of shot for him. But that's what you want. You know, you are going to get a lot of bad picture. Let's put it this way. 90% of it are bad picture. 90%. On the 10% left, you might get 1 or 2 you feel satisfied. The ratio is very low.
Yeah.
Very low. Because there is a lot of technical issue you have to resolve every time you go check your camera. You have to do the focus. I mean, who said the focus is going to be on the rock and is not going to be behind the rock? I mean, there's a lot of technicality will need to be resolved. It's not easy, but it's fascinating. It's fun. It's try to achieve the best you can. It's fun.
How often do you go out and check your cameras?
Almost every day. Almost every day, because I got so many cameras. I'm all over the place. So basically what I try to do is like, I try to service camera every 2 weeks, but sometimes I go because I feel like I need to go, and it's like, you know, getting out of the city. It's good. But it's just because I like to be in the wood. Also, it helped me to scatter at the trail, at the bottom of a creek, at the place to set up new cameras, and to think, is this the proper place for this camera? Is that camera give me the most return?
Yeah.
It's just about the return, because the goal is to have a database of traffic to help the conservancy and say, and this is what's happening. So
When you were saying you have just hard drives full of data on animal movement and what you've captured where.
oh, you
So
ask
much
me?
information.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's everywhere. I mean, right now on the foothill, I cover at least 5 canyon. I cover 2 of the AFC property. I cover the Verdigo Mountain. I mean, and if you look at the size of Verdigo Mountain, I'm only covering 1 canyon.
Yeah.
I mean, the need of cameras and is just, it's tremendous. I mean, you cannot capture everything. You
Yeah.
have to pick your placement, and you have to pick your placement away from people, because people are pretty unforgiving. Or this one, this picture, hey, who doesn't like a bear cub with mama? I mean, it's just not the perfect picture, but it just convey they have kids like we have kids, and they have to protect them. And she's trolling the canyon. Probably went to the garbage.
Mhm.
Yeah, most likely. I got a video of a bear at Rosemount with a garbage bag in his mouth going up canyon.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, the conflict here is just pretty bad. And I talk to the people at Rosemount, and they see bear all the time. They see deer all the time. They see coyote all the time. It's everywhere. If you live near the canyon, you got to expect to live with wildlife.
That's right.
That's their territory. So we have to share the space.
We
Yeah.
have a question from Diane. You talked a little bit about some of the difficulty that you have with various animals' curiosity, messing up your setups or changing the cameras. But do you ever have problems with people?
Oh yeah. Well, I used to trap a lot deep in the Angeles National Forest, and like I don't know if everybody knows, there is a hunting season. You go from September to late December, and I got cameras stolen, shot, and you name it, it happened. So it's a lot of money, gone, but it is what it is. It's a price to pay to try to identify and photograph beauty. So I'm good with that. But locally in a preserve, no problem. Um, some aspect, I see a lot of kids just try to insult the camera, just profane. I got people pee on the front of the camera. I got people show me their butt in front of the camera. It's just not the kind of wildlife I want to see. So it's just, but that's okay. You know what? If they don't destroy the camera, I'm good. If they want to, expose themselves, I just, who cares? I mean, that's their problem, not mine.
Yeah.
So
Did you have any issues with the recent fires with any of your placements?
luckily not. Luckily not. The Bobcat fire was too far away from me.
Yeah.
It's on the other side of Angeles National Forest. But I'm waiting because at the Mila Reserve, the Bobcat fire burned a lot. So tomorrow I'm going to be there and see if I see more animals coming to the preserve. That's very possible. Very possible we get more traffic.
Mm.
And that's something I would like to talk to John about it, because the traffic between human and the traffic about animals, there is a little bit of, how would you say, conflict.
Hmm.
Because during the summer, I saw a lot of people doing the trail, and the decrease of animal sighting. And when people stop going, I see more animal sighting. I see more traffic by bear, lion, coyote, deers. There is an impact between traffic of human traffic and wildlife traffic. There is a bit of an imbalance on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Well,
just
and
is.
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of fires, Barbara had a question. She said, did you see more wildlife at your Verdigo Mountain location after the Latuna fire?
Not really, not really. This didn't really impact the canyon I was in there. I think this probably went on the other side toward the Burbank area, not so much by the La Crescenta area. Um, Time to time I see, lately I don't see much of Nikita over there. I think she moved on, different area. For about a year, she was there every day at the location calling. But I didn't see much of an impact from Latuna Canyon. Didn't see any change. Nothing increased, nothing decreased. Same kind of traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same kind of traffic. It just it if the whole mountain doesn't burn, I think we don't see. I don't think it may much of an impact for me. I don't speak about the animal. I know probably the mountain lion changed his way of hunting when different place to hunt. So it's oh, this one is it's a lucky shot.
Hmm.
It's basically a lucky shot. I think this was a courtship between two fox, and having them the mouth open, and you can see the canine, the fur, the sharpness. I think this is a great picture. You don't see that out often. I got the same thing a couple weeks ago in the Verdigo. Two fox having an argument,
Hmm.
and it was pretty loud. It was pretty loud, and I wish I would have a video camera at that time, because I think definitely was a courtship.
Yeah. Are there any animals that you'd like to capture but you haven't managed to photograph yet?
Uh, yeah, I would love to see ringtail, and I'm always hoping in Pecan Canyon, in Miller to see ringtail, but I think they're higher up. They're higher up in the mountain. But any animal different, I welcome everything. I mean, I will. For a long time, I didn't see it was the spotted skunk, and I've been seeing a lot more sighting of them in Miller Canyon. I got some in Pecan Canyon. They're not as frequent as the regular skunk, the striped skunk, but even that, it's good to know they're there and need to be protected.
Yeah.
They're smaller, they're funnier too. So, but they, I any in like, what I like to capture is behavior on camera, video, or on still. Is to have a big to see them doing their regular things, what they do all day. And just as a note, I don't know if a lot of people do know, gray fox do not nest in a burrow. They nest in a tree. It's the only canine who can climb trees.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, and I saw him. I have video in the Angeles Crest Highway in the Angeles National Forest, and I'm having a video of a bear in a tree. You see two eyes, and when the bear is gone, it's a fox coming down the tree.
Hmm.
So it's for a fact that's what they do. They love trees. They jump from trees to trees, and they're very they. It's very interesting. It's very interesting.
That's remarkable. Nancy wanted me to let you know that this photo of the two foxes and the others that are in this series is her absolute favorite of yours.
Oh, it's just beautiful. I think
Yeah.
it showed like, it showed like they're in love. I mean, they do their things, and fox are they're small. Fox are so small, and just they're very funny. And they're beautiful fur, and just it's a great animal. And I mean, we have fox in the Verdigo too. I mean, fox in the Verdigo. We have fox in the foothill, and they're everywhere. They love fruit. They omnivore. They eat fruit, and they eat rat, squirrel, rabbit. If they can catch it. But they're very, very, very fast, and they're all over the Angeles National Forest, the San Gabriel Mountain. They're all over the place. The thing, I think the most, I didn't show this picture, but the most impressive picture I have is capturing two mountain lion mating. This
Wow.
is just so unusual. For the fact is, why did they choose that location? They have 19 square miles. Why did they choose that location to mate right in front of the camera? It was unique. It probably will never happen again.
Yeah.
It just something, and camera trapping, the good thing about it is you never get the same thing twice. It's always different because you do not control the subject. The only thing you control is what you know about it, the way your camera is set up, and where you set up your camera. That's the only three things you can control. The rest, you cannot, the weather you cannot control. If it's too sunny, you cannot control. You can only control what you know.
Yeah.
The subject, you can know about it, but doesn't mean you can control it. But what you can do, if you're on a trail, you can encourage an animal to follow a certain path, not to correct the behavior, but let's say you put a branch a certain way, they will avoid that branch to go more toward the camera.
Mm-hmm.
It's not control, because it's the same thing. If a tree fell off because it's too windy, the fox, the lion will go around it. So you can control this way a little bit, but to a certain extent, they could jump the tree.
Right.
They could jump the tree, but like I said, they will follow a certain path. They will follow the easy way.
So you can
That's
direct traffic a little bit.
you can't direct traffic. Coyote just they cannot be managed. They go wherever they want to go.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the most interesting species. They're very resilient.
Yeah.
They're very resilient species, and we need them. We need them to clean the forest. Clean carcasses. You know, they do the job the crow does. You know, clean up.
Absolutely. Well, I know we've been taking questions all along, but we have a number of other questions that we'll go through now. And so if you do have a question for Denny, go ahead and type it in the Q&A box, and we'll do as many as we can. Greg wanted to know where the bobcat photo was taken. I'm not sure which one he means, but maybe you can tell us. I think they're both in the same location.
Yeah, both of them was taken in Rosemont. The Rosemont Preserve, at the end of Rosemont Preserve. Yeah.
And you said something really interesting to me about using Rosemont. You said you use it almost as a lab.
Yeah, it's a safe place for me to experiment. I don't get a lot of human traffic, so it's a good place to experiment with things.
Mm-hmm.
Before you deploy that experiment to 5 miles in the forest, and you have to carry 20, 30 pounds of supply. Sorry. So it's such a great place to experience different sensor, different trigger, different placement of flashes, different way to understand the behavior of animals. So it's a good place, and thanks the AFC to allow me to do that, because if not, I would have to put it in different place and not sure if it's going to be visited by people and not knowing if it's going to work. I mean, there is a lot of unknown when you do camera trapping. That's a lot of frustration, a lot, but you need a lot of patience and a lot of perseverance. You cannot give up. Give up is not an option, because if you give up, you give up, and
That's right.
you're never going to know.
That's right. Well, we have two questions that are pretty similar. Do you capture birds or reptiles with your camera setups?
Reptiles, never. I never capture a snake. I saw snake all the time, but never capture a snake on camera trap. I did capture a bobcat with a snake in his mouth, not killing it, but just carrying in his mouth. Bird, time to time I get vulture if it's on a deer carcass, crows. Time to time I get a hawk. I got an owl. It's not my primary. It's not my primary animals I like to photograph with camera trapping. Screech owl. time to time I get a screech owl or greenhorn owl, but they're very difficult to photograph with a trap. You have to have a long lens. It's another type of photography.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know how possible this is in our Zoom format, but we do have a request. Is there any way for you to show us what your camera setup looks like?
Yes. Give me. God, I don't even know if I have a picture. I think it's on my phone. Yeah, I thought I have a picture. I thought about it early today to show a trap, but I don't think, well, let me get my phone if I can find something.
Okay, well, while you're doing that, I will let people know that you can see more of Denny's work and you can follow him on social media. And if you don't follow him on Instagram, I really recommend it. There is just all the time incredible, incredible photos, incredible videos of stuff he's captured and seen in all of his different placements. So I really recommend it. It's at Denny Calais on Instagram. You can see a huge range of his work on his website at dennycalais.com. And he said, if you've got any particular questions or you want to know more, you can always send him an email.
Yeah, I don't have a picture.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Last question that I think we have time for today. We've got lots and lots of compliments coming in, but I think this is a really good question to end on, which is, you know, what's your vision of how wildlife photography, or what do you wish people would know about animals that you see all the time that you think they don't know?
Well, I think part of it a lot, they're not here to bother us. They're just here to live their own life like we do in our own life. And I think we have to get a mutual understanding between us and the wild world. And just, if you see a bear, just leave him alone. If you see a snake, leave him alone. He doesn't want to deal with us. He doesn't want to deal with you. It just, they just like us. They just want to leave. They just want to be doing their own thing. We need them. We certainly need them. If we do not have mountain lion or coyotes or bobcat, we're going to get a lot of rat. We're going to get a lot of deer eating our flowers,
Mm-hmm.
If a bear's going to your trash can, find a solution to fix it. Don't allow them to be in the trash can. Don't call the fishing game for it. You know what they're going to do? They're going to tell you to lock your trash can. See, I mean, they're here for a good reason, to establish the balance of the world. Everything has to have a balance, and having animals around. And I don't know, for me, having animals around me, it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's just, I mean, I saw Free Bear in September. I was like, geez, I'm blessed. This is awesome. What? I'm humble, to be able to see such a great animal. It's like luck. You walk into a bear, wow. You just, why me?
Yeah,
It's just gorgeous.
it is.
And
And
I
please.
appreciate the power they have. They were there way before we were there.
That's exactly right.
They own the land more than we do. They know the land a lot better than we do. They will find water. I don't see myself finding water in the mountain. They will find the water.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think that's what we appreciate so much about your photography, is it gives us the chance to have that same feeling of appreciation,
Yeah.
to come face to face with these animals in a way that most of us just never do.
You bring a voice to the animal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.